Okay, let's get started. I had a little snag just getting all the different things to talk to each other. And part of that snag involved the last live stream, which I had to pull down and fix the ending of. So that is not available for replay yet, but I will have it up just as soon as I can. It takes time for it to process, and then you can't edit it until it's processed. So anyway, boring digital details. Let's talk about soloing on Pony Blues. Today, we're going to look at the advanced improvisation material, which means, picking up where we left off with model solo number 2, we're going to look today at adding fills into the back half of each line of the solo, and then adding in some of the bass moves from the embellished version of the melody when you're improvising. So heavy stuff, but it'll be really fun. So last time we did permutations for following, just like coming up with extra licks that match the rhythmic contour of the melody. And but the melody only lasts for the first 2 bars of each line, so the back half of each line is kind of empty, just the steady bass. But this is the solo this is a model solo that puts together all the different variations that we looked at. And I'll play it again. It sounds like this. So the licks themselves are not going to change that much today, but where we put the fills and where we put the bass lines is going to change. So, hey, don't do that. Wait a second. All right, let's stay here. And so the first thing to do is look at what the bass line is doing on the embellished tune, the embellished version. Now, this is the embellished number 2. It doesn't have the extra beats towards the end of the line, so it's still just a straight 12-bar form with the bass always playing 4 beats per measure. But this is what the bass line is doing in the embellished. And then when we get to the 4 chord, we've got the stumbles and the moving bass. And then we're back to the steady bass. 3rd line, here comes the B chord, and then this little motion. Right, so in each of the first 2 measures of each line, we've got more happening with the bass, and so we've got to make sure that the licks will work with that. And so we also can take the fills from the back half of each line in the embellished version and include them. So, for example, if we're going to play the first 4 bars of the solo, if you look up on top and you just play steady bass, this is the first line that we did last week. But we're going to drop in this little bass move when the melody, when the lick is at rest. So, right? So that's just the bass. We get on beat 4, we have the 3rd fret on the low string, the flat 3 with the thumb, which is just the same. I mean, steady bass, right? Nothing's changing really for the right hand thumb. But then on the and of 4, index finger has to pick 2nd fret on the 4th string, the root. So the bass is going. The lick is going. And when you put them together, sorry. then for the back half of the line, we're going to snag this fill. That's straight out of the embellished. So it's a learned thing, right? We're going to just come up with some different ways to play the answer in these bars, right? So this whole first line now, we've got the lick, we've got the bass line worked into the lick, and then we have the answer in bars 3 and 4. And it sounds like this. Sorry, I keep playing the wrong part of the fill. There it is. A lot of moving parts. So now we get into some other ways we could play that first line. So we're still going to have, if you look down, you're going to have the same bass move on the 4th beat of the first measure every time. And then these fills are going to change every time. So the second time, we're going to use this fill. The third time, we're going to do this fill. This is new. And then this 4th time, we are going to stick in an extra 2 beats, right? So we're going to have, make sure I get all the bass notes and everything right. That comes out of I think the embellished number 3. So we've got 4 different answers, which of course are going to be mix and matchable. And going back to the licks, right? Here's the second permutation. So again, all we're doing is taking the permutation from last week's version and dropping in the bass run on 4 and. Oh, sorry. And then playing the answer. For the third line, again, here's the lick. And so with the bass, with the answer. And then finally, we have the lick, and for the 4th version, which with the bass becomes like that. So 4 permutations for the first line. For the next line, we're going to keep these answers, so we don't have to relearn another set of answers. We're just going to use 4 different answers because the second half of each line of Pony Blues is always just 2 bars of E, or 2 bars of E with an extra couple beats shoved in there. So these are going to stay the same. These bars 7 and 8 are going to be the same as bars 3 and 4. There's 1. This is the second one. Here's the third one. And here's the 4th one with the extra 2 beats. So those are going to, we've already done those. So now let's just look at what's happening here with the bass. So on beat measure 5, we have with the extra bass, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then in measure 6, we have the same that we have for the fill. We have, so we have to be able to play a lick over that stumbled bass. Here's the original lick, just with a steady bass. Sorry. Wow, why can't I play this today? Right, so that's just with the steady bass. And then this. That bass in underneath it becomes like this series of little moves, right? So sticking in the stumble bass, as long as you can do that, there's space for it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the stumbles are happening when nothing else is happening. So you have your thumb, the thumb has all the time, has all your attention to move it around. But then in the next measure, this is really something that would be pretty tricky to improvise. You'd have to work each one of these out, that's definitely what I would do. And I did actually spend a little time making sure the licks sounded right over the bass line and there weren't too many like clanky dissonances, right? So, I mean, the way I taught myself how to do like licks over walking bass was to sit and work each one out. So here's 4 of them. They all basically, I may have had to tweak the original permutations a little bit to get them to work over this bass line, but I kept as close to them as possible. So this one, you know, just again, a series of moves. And then for the next line, we have again, the bass moves when nothing else is happening. And then we have another set of moves on top. That goes over. And each one is just a pair of usually you have at least one open string, open A string, right? Here you have to grab 2 notes, open, 2 notes. So some of the moves are easier than others, but as you sort of put them together, I made sure the fingerings felt pretty natural and weren't like, you know, there's none of these kind of chords, right? So then the next one. Again, the stumbles happen in the spaces, and then trying to make it all work. So it gets a little dissonant in there for a minute, but when you play it in context, sounds pretty musical. And then finally, I'm going to make this a little more visible here. There we go. Now I can see it. Here's the lick. Let's see. And so with the bass. This right? Oh, I had to kind of mess with the bass a little bit on this one. Yeah, the moving bass didn't sound good on beats 2 and 3, because if you do it, it sounds really weird. So I did a compromise. I just did. So I had to adapt this one. So here's each line doing bars 5 through 8. I'll play the lick and I'll play the back end fills, and hopefully I'll get them right. Here's permutation 1 for the second line. 2. I'll do that one again. Third line. And the fourth line. And finally, let's do the third line, and then I'll look at some questions. So the third line, the bass is sitting on the B for 4 beats, and then it's going up and walking back down to the E. So we got to make the licks work over that. And then again, we got the same answers here as we did in the previous 2 lines. So nothing new to learn once you've got those on measures 11 and 12. So in the front half, if we just sat on the B, that's what we'd have. But if we put in the bass line, so measure 9 is going to stay the same as it was in the previous permutation. But here, work out the bass. So and again, a lot of open strings. So you can just kind of lean into that. I think it'll help. Here's the next one, permutation 2 for the last line. This one's a little weird because the lick is going, so that chromatic stuff. But again, once it's in the flow, it kind of makes sense. And the fingering's not even too bad. You start off with a B7 shape, right? Because we're coming from, actually, maybe index finger. Yeah, middle finger for the bass. You can reach behind, still in position, reach over with the ring finger. And then the third one. So it's a little weird, and again, it's like this tricky back and forth between just doing it up to tempo enough to kind of get it to where it sounds like music, but then working slowly enough to make sure that every finger is going in the right place. Because part of how I remember these myself is like just to think about what's going on musically. Those two things have to go together. You have to kind of hold those two things together in your head, but you also just have to mechanically work out which finger's going where, so that you can get it to do what it's supposed to do. It's this kind of, one of those things, if you start thinking about it too much in the middle of it, it kind of all falls apart. So it's this balance of being aware of what you're doing musically and aware of what you're doing mechanically. And I can talk about that more later if necessary. Here's the last one though. Oh yeah, and this one I had to cheat on too. Because it just didn't make sense. Like that all just felt kind of dumb. So I just left out the C sharp really. So the 4 lines, the 4 versions of the last line sound like this. Here's the first one. Second line. Third line. Fourth line with the extra 2 beats on the back half. So those are all the possibilities. And then, of course, you could, I didn't do the dotted lines, but you could divvy them up. You know, you could do different answers for each one, and all the usual kind of mixing and matching. So here's an example of that, where we have a model solo that takes part in all of these things. And I'll just play through it. It sounds like this. Time. So that makes a model that you can then try to swap in different permutations on. And that is the thing. So I saw a bunch of questions. I'm going to take a look at them now, and if I need to pull the tab back on screen, I will. Let's see what we've got. Okay, I notice you often rock a single finger back and forth. This is from Bill. To play 2 successive notes on different strings of the same fret. Was that difficult to learn? My finger doesn't want to do it. I don't think I learned it on purpose. I hate answers like this, by the way. But I don't think I learned to do it on purpose. I think I just began doing it as part of trying to figure things out. So I don't know if that's like laziness or efficiency or what. But I think that probably the tricky part is that sometimes the knuckle, the joint wants to lock when it gets down and it's hard to undo it. But you could, the motion is just to be in a sort of squared off position. In this case, I'm on the root, on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And then to get, say, the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, I am just flattening out. Right? So I'm not jumping. And the idea is really, the efficiency is, well, I want to be able to get back to this note on the 4th string. So I'm going to go down like that, and then I'm going to roll back up when I want this note. Because when I go over, the tip of my finger is now still touching the 4th string, but it's not pressing it down. So rocking it over has the additional benefit of stopping that note that you were just on. So you could just try doing that motion. I'm not sure which part of the mechanics is tricky, but that's an exercise you can try to sort of get that going. And let me know if that helps, Bill. Spencer, I am still struggling to get my head around the count on those stumbles for the bass line. Yeah, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can think of it as being 1, 2 and. I mean, not rushing it, but just that it's 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, as far as the bass. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. But psychologically, I think that the way you think, for me, I feel like sometimes the way I'm thinking about something affects the way I play it. So if I think of it as coming after beat 2 and after beat 4, that's how it's going to sound. With a little pause in between the and of 2 and the downbeat of 3. 1, 2, and. Oh, good, I did that. 3, 4, and. Oh, good, we did that too. But what that note is really doing on the 6th string is actually kicking you into the next downbeat. It's really 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. Right? It's taking you to the downbeat. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So as much as possible, you can think of it as and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. That even though you're playing the same thing, it will come out a little differently. Those notes will sound like da 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 da, Hopefully. That's the idea. So let me know if that helps clarify that. Okay. Let's see. I feel like there was another question about quarter tone bends. Where was that? Yes. Oh, from Tim. Hey, Tim. Are you doing a quarter bend on the bass G? Yeah, I'm doing quarter bends in a few places. So on the high string, whenever I'm playing the 3rd fret, I'm bending it a little bit towards the G sharp. Not playing, but when I'm on the B and I'm playing the 3rd fret on the B string, I'm definitely giving that a little bit of a quarter tone bend too. Instead of just letting it sit there flat, it's actually, I don't know if it's all of them. When it's the chord, it's not. Those are straight on. But when it's a single note, and I'm exaggerating it now, but that's definitely bent a little bit more. And then, yeah, so that is definitely getting the bend. Again, not quite getting here, bailing out on the and before you get there. But it sounds different than if I just played. Yeah, so those quarter note bends are happening like that. Okay. Any more? Oh, are you counting while playing? No, not in my head, not out loud, unless I'm working out something. This is like the related question of, I think counting is good if you're trying to work something out, especially if you're trying to work out this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or if you're trying to work out these extra, well, let me pull it up. If you're trying to work out these extra beats, right? So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, right? Like if you're trying to figure that out, I would totally, I count stuff out loud when I'm doing, stuff with the metronome, or I'll say the names of the notes out loud if I'm trying to learn where the names of the notes are. Just like, because thinking it isn't the same as saying it out loud. Because if you say it out loud, you have to actually get it right, and you'll know if you don't. Whereas if you think it, you're just like, yeah, I think that was, whatever. Saying it out loud helps kind of get it into your system, what it actually is. So yeah, I will count it out if I need to. But when I'm actually playing, there is this, it's really hard to explain, but there's something else you do besides guitar playing that you feel very fluid and accomplished at, or more fluid and accomplished than you do about your playing, then you probably have an equivalent thing to this, although I don't know what it is necessarily. But it would be like if you were reading out loud to somebody, like you could just flip open, I don't know, Ulysses or a picture book, whatever it is, or an email that you got, and you could read out loud you wouldn't think about it. There would be this simultaneity where like you saw the words and you said them out loud, and you knew how to pronounce them, and you didn't think about where the commas were, and you didn't think about where the periods were. You would just naturally, you would know where to pause and where to breathe and how to inflect, because you're fluent in English and because you've been reading out loud from things so long at this point that you don't have to think about it. And so the counting gets to be like that in the sense that with something that I've learned how to play like this, on some unspoken level, like I'm aware of what beat I'm on, just like I'm aware that I'm playing a flat third and a fifth at the same time when I do that. And it's not like a little 3 and a 5 are like sort of appearing over my head mentally. It's that like I'm aware that that's what that is without having to say it out loud. I don't really know how to explain it very well, and it's not a super satisfying thing, but I can say that it's the same as like, if you've been playing guitar for any period of time, when someone says play a G chord, it's not like you're sitting and putting down each note one by one. And you're not thinking, what string is this? What fret is this? You know what a G chord is at this point. You know that is the thing that represents G, and you know all the things that it's doing. And you even have this sense in your hands of what it feels like before you even put it down. You could probably close your eyes and feel what a G to C to D chord progression feels like in your left hand. And so it's just more of that, just with more notes and, more stuff going on. But it's that same just sort of simultaneous awareness of what it's going to sound like, what it's going to feel like, what it looks like, and all that stuff. It's that's an explanation of what's going on. And yeah, tapping your foot really helps, and practicing all of these things with a metronome really helps also, especially with the metronome on 2 and 4. I need to post some of these YouTube things, these sort of nuts and bolts things I did on YouTube on the membership, because there's a video on YouTube about using the metronome that I made maybe 3 or 4 months ago finally, and just putting the metronome on 2 and 4, how to practice the metronome, all that stuff. And I'll try to get that posted, or you can just go hunt for it on the channel if you want to know more about that. Okay. Well, that's Pony Blues. That's the improvisation part of Pony Blues. And next month, we are going to look at arranging. So we'll have an embellished vamp, and we'll look at dropping licks into the vamp like we do now. I think there's a shout chorus for this one, and there's accompaniment with lyrics for people who want to sing, and I'm not sure, there's maybe one other thing, I'm not sure. We got a little time left, so if you've got questions, post them. They don't have to be about Pony Blues if we've covered everything for Pony Blues. I mentioned a couple of things I want to do to kind of clean up the navigation. I'll mention them here too, just in case you weren't at the Ramsey Avenue Swell session last hour. But I'm probably going to put the improvisation lessons that are now grouped under fundamentals of improvisation, put them back with the songs that they come from, just so it's easier to find. Because one of the questions that I get a lot, or that I see on the forum a lot, is, okay, I finished learning this song. Where exactly are the improvisation lessons for this song? And I think the simplest thing to do is just to group everything in the archive the way that it's grouped during the current month or the current quarter, which is to just keep everything for a particular song together, and then figure out some other way to kind of, I had sort of hoped initially that I could be more general about improvisation, like, oh great, we covered improvisation in E, now that's a resource we can look at for any song. But it turns out it's kind of specific to every song, and that's cool. I didn't really know that when I started, but that's one of the things that I've found out as I've gone along. So I'm just in general trying to streamline and simplify the way the website for the membership is laid out. I know it's a little clunky right now. So I hope to have that mostly cleaned up by the end of the year, the end of the quarter. And I may do a survey, or I've even thought about doing just like a Zoom where anybody who wants to weigh in can just get on the Zoom, and I can just ask people questions about the navigation before I start messing around with it, just to make sure that I don't break anything that's already working. Okay, some questions. From Ken. If you have time, could you explain what I think of as fill-ins, almost like the rake, but looks like three fingers at the same time, very noticeably on catfish? Let's see. Let's see. Trying to think. I mean, there are a lot of those. Is that what you, I mean, it's that there is the rake, which has no notes officially. But then sometimes I am actually playing notes. So it's a rake with notes. So I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. But it's mostly for rhythmic purposes, just so it's not just sitting there. Right? So I'm not sure if that answers the question. Feel free to post more. Let's see. Bob, how about something in the key of A next quarter? Oh, we're definitely going to move away from E next quarter. I mean, and I've been like brainstorming the whole year to make sure that we definitely do go back to alternating thumb and go back to some other keys. So I can go through a couple of those things if you want. I can show you some of the things I've been thinking about doing. So yeah, definitely. And A is one of the, we haven't done A in a while. So that was definitely on my brainstorm list. Brian, show us something on the hybrid guitar someday. Yes, it's not sort of set up in the room right now, but I can do that for sure. Can I play exactly like you? Yes, I can. Because exactly like you is in the public domain now. So that's exciting. But yeah, I'll go through that. Then I'll play a couple other tunes that I've been messing with. Some of which are done, some of which are potential, etc. So exactly like you is in C. So, Exactly Like You, great tune, lots of great versions of it floating around. And let's see. What were the other questions here? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we did Exactly Like You. Yeah. So one of the reasons I haven't done standards is because there's so much more music involved. There's, that one is actually not too bad because it's AABA, so there's just 16 bars really. But I know that like the thumb rap for the F is challenging, and so to go from that to then also include the F minor, I always want to make sure that there's a fundamental version hiding in there somewhere. So another standard I've been messing with, and I can't decide. This is also this Duke Ellington tune, Mood Indigo, is going to be in the public domain in 2026, and I can't decide if it works better as steady bass or alternating thumb. So I'll play both. You can see what you think. So you can do it steady bass. So on. So that's steady bass, right? And then you could do alternating thumb. And so on, right? That's basically a 16-bar blues. So it's sort of doable. So that was one thing I was actually thinking we could do in A. But, I don't know if it's too jazzy for, I know a lot of people seem to really enjoy Pony Blues, which is like about as bluesy as it can get. And I know a handful of people are like, oh, can we do more Delta blues? I'm like, sure. So trying to balance that, right? And so there's that. And yeah, Mike. So Mike, this is sort of the insight into next year's songs in a way, because these are all, oh great. These are the various tunes that are kind of like, up on the workbench trying to see. That's called Mood Indigo. I've been doing original tunes in the winter and the summer for the last couple of years. So here's a tune that I've been working on. This has been done for months, and I was thinking of doing this for the winter to go back to alternating thumb in drop D. So this is a song called Red Wing Stumble that I haven't actually taught yet, but I think that there is a good fundamental and embellished hiding in here. So it opens with a vamp. we've done all these chords before. Tune. And then this is the vamp. Again. Solo on this section. It's just D's and G's and A's. And that one funny chord. And then there's a bridge. Tune. And then the embellished version has these rhythmic tricks in them. So that's like, I don't know if we've done it. I guess we've done a couple instrumentals in drop D, but that's a possibility. And then All of Me is tricky because it's usually played in C, but it only sits on the guitar fingerstyle in G. And I'm not sure when it was written. It might be public domain. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's another. This is one. This doesn't officially enter the public domain until 2027 because it was first recorded in 1931. But I was looking for Delta blues tunes, and I can't quite play it. I don't quite have this dialed in yet, but I'm going to try to play a little bit of it. So this I think would be really fun to do, and a nice follow-up to doing Pony Blues. Shoot, that part is the best part. So it's basically Skip James, Hard Times Killing Floor Blues, but not in open D minor tuning, because I know everybody's like, I don't want to retune, which is totally cool. I get it. So it's basically drop D for Skip James, which I think would be really fun to do. this is that's the thing you got to get in. It's not like super intuitive in drop D, but I think that I am on my way to getting it to where it's just going to sit nicely, and it shouldn't be too much mental gymnastics to make it work. So that's one that I was thinking about. And then, I thought about doing just like an A blues. I have an A blues that I did for True Fire years ago called Weehawken or Bust. And I was thinking of maybe bringing that one in here, or doing a similar kind of blues in A. Like, it'd be fun to write a new one, but Weehawken or Bust has all these walking bass moves, right? So again, I don't know if there's if there's a fundamental hiding in there, but whoops. So, and then you could just play blues and A over that, right? It was basically like, I had learned, what's his face? Art of Ragtime guitar, Richard Saslow. I learned his blues in A when I was a kid, and I was like, I need my own blues in A. So there's actually 2 more choruses of that crazy walking bass stuff. But I think that I think you could do it without the walking bass. You could do it without all that crazy stuff. So anyway, that's another option, because we are overdue for a blues in A. I mean, we've done a couple. We've done, what do you call it? Mus Licipi Ibis. But I know that I heard from a lot of people, like, that's the hardest thing here. So I'm like, okay, let's not do that. Again, not make it that hard. And Jackson's Cadillac, that's also in A, but that has a bunch of crazy jazz changes. So I don't know. It'd be good to have a blues in A that didn't make your head explode. Something like, on the order of Ides of March, that was like an instrumental in A that was a blues that had some fun things in it, but wasn't like just impossible, So let's see. Yeah, Am I Blue? I don't think G Baby is G Baby actually public domain now? I know some of these other ones are. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't read back far enough. Yeah. So those are all public domain. Georgia on My Mind is also public domain. I know there's some folks who would love to do that. The B section gets up into a bunch of, like, you can't do the B section without bar chords. And then, you can't do it without that B. And I'm like, I don't want to do something with a bar chord, because then there is no fundamental version. Let's see. Yes, Valerie, thank you for the plug. There's a pretty basic version of Mood Indigo in there, actually, because Hal Leonard had the rights to all that stuff, so I could arrange whatever I wanted to for that book. Let's see. Pony Blues. Yeah, good. Let me see if I missed anything. Fuzzing up the boundaries. Nice. Yes. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, Simon, nice. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, that's kind of what's on tap, and any more feedback is welcome. Sounds like, yeah. So, like I said, the scheme up for the last couple of years has been, oh, I love Russian Lullaby. Is that the one? How does I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I do love that one. Anyway, the scheme has been to do, like I said, to present like original instrumentals, winter and summer, and then do traditional tunes with both that could potentially have lyrics, spring and fall. Excuse me. So I'll try to figure out how to do that. And I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm also looking for tunes from earlier in the, first couple of years of the membership that are candidates for Redux. I will, full disclosure, I will try to keep doing the Redux. But as you can tell, they keep showing up later and later in the quarter because I'm trying to keep all the other plates in the air. And it's like doing an extra tune. Like, I thought the Redux was going to just be, oh, let's look at the tune again. And then, of course, I went back in and I was like, oh, let's fix this, let's fix that. It's kind of like doing renovations on your kitchen. You think you're just going to put in a dishwasher and then you realize you're going to remake all the cabinets and redo the plumbing and everything else. So, not that I've ever done that myself, but, I've seen it happen. So the Redux thing, I thought would just be a fun way to just like go live and talk about the tune. But then it turns out I really wanted to just kind of, remake the PDF and then edit the PDF and then maybe tweak the arrangement a little bit and then make sure there's improvisation stuff. So, I think it really makes sense to review those tunes, and it really makes sense to match them with the current tune, and it really makes sense to clean up and represent them. So I will attempt to keep doing that. There's a chance that schedule may slow down a little bit in 2026. I'm thinking maybe we'll do 2 Reduxes a year instead of 4, but we'll see. I will attempt to keep doing them because I know they're popular and I like having them in there, but just trying to make sure that I can keep all the plates up in the air. Anyway, that's Pony Blues, and that's some of what's coming up. Next week, we're off. If you're in the States, happy Thanksgiving. If you're not, business as usual. We'll get back to it the first week of December. I think I have the arranging stuff ready to post pretty soon. So I'll let you know on the forum and with an announcement when that's ready to go. But yeah, we've got another month of doing arranging, and then we'll get into what we get into in the winter. If you are watching this on replay, feel free to post on the forum about any of the songs that I just played and presented. Oh, here's one other one I forgot. Was we haven't done a lot of stuff in C, and so I also was thinking about Columbus Stockade Blues, which is more like from the country repertoire. It's like a Doc Watson thing. I think of it as, even though it's recorded way before him, but. got a sort of a tricky thing with the F chord. So, I mean, again, I don't want to go overboard with the standards thing, but we could, that's why something like Exactly Like You is a good candidate, because it's in C, and it doesn't have too many moves. But there's also, what was the other one I was thinking of in C? Not Palette, not Making a Palette on the Floor. Oh, Railroad Bill. I think it's Elizabeth Cotton. I'm just used to hearing my buddy Peter play it, Peter Kane. Anyway, many possibilities. I'll try to get it organized, and we'll discuss. So anyway, there it is. Thanks for sticking around and appreciate the input. I will see you all around the forum, and I will